So in this video, I will show you how to use computer-aided software like Fusion 360 right here to model toy car. And the software we're using is called Autodesk Fusion 360. It looks like this in your computer. It should be already downloaded to and installed on your laptop. So first thing is ask me for an account if you don't have one. So put your email and then they will send an email for you to sign up for an account. And so that way, all you have to do is click on here. So first, after you get the account, click on here and it will start downloading. It might take a little bit of time, but it's right here now. You see how this is how it should look while it's downloading. So when you first open it, it would look like this. So first step is to make sure that you are logged into your account. You see how if you go all the way to the right on the top, it has your name. If it doesn't have your name, that means you're not in your account. Maybe you logged out to someone else's account. So if that is the case, you have to sign them out first. Otherwise, you will not be able to do anything. And then you should sign in using your username and password that I gave you on your account. So first thing you should do is to create a new project. So you see how on the left-hand side you have option to create a new project. You should create a new project. You should call it Arduino ToyCar. So that will be, and then press enter. It's creating that new project called Arduino ToyCar. Once and then you double click using your left. You should have a mouse, by the way. Everyone should have an assigned mouse. Whatever laptop number you have, like let's say you have laptop number 5, you should get mouse number 5. Mouses are right up here in the classroom next to the 3D printers. But make sure you get the one that is assigned. It's like if you have a laptop number 5, you should get laptop mouse number 5. So again, you were here under the all projects, and then you double click, left double click to go inside the project. Now I'm inside the project. Now, before you do anything else, go back to where your name is and then click. You should click your name and then it should say preferences. Do you see how it says preferences? Go to preferences and then make sure that you restore everything, all the settings to default. To restart Fusion after reset to ensure all changes take place. So, okay, now go back to the project. So I was over here. Arduino ToyCar, go back. Since you hit restore defaults, you should be back to the default setting. Now, let's go create from here, where it says file, create a new design. So this will be the name of the file, the parent file, and you should call it. You see how I have two files. I'm going to the XR1, and I'm going to name this. I'm right clicking right now. I'm right clicking here. Actually, you can just do Control S to name this. So I'm going to see the location is Arduino ToyCar. I'm going to say this is ToyCar. This is the parent file is called ToyCar. Press save. So now you see how the name here changed to ToyCar, and then it says version 1, V1. And then you see how there's the dot, that means you're on this parent file. Now, under this file, you're going to have many components, like one component, and you know what a component is. Component is basically something that is, that you will keep it separate so that eventually when you're ready to print out the whole chassis, you can assemble the whole thing. So I'm going to separate it out under this project. I'm going to create a component called chassis. So you see how it says new component, and go over here to where it says name. I'm going to name this chassis. Okay, so now I have a component called chassis, and then I'm going to work on this first because today's job is just to work on the chassis. So now I make sure that I'm not on the parent component. I'm on the chassis because, I'm building the chassis right now. Now, I have to go click on where it says create sketch, right? Just hover over and say create sketch. And then it will ask, what plane do you want? Do you want the X plane? You see how X plane is this one? This is Z, and then that one is Y, right? So I'm going to pick that. You see how when you look at the cube, the top of the cube is this one, right? So I'm going to pick this plane as my plane to build the cube. So now I'm going to go to where it says create, and under create, you see how there's a rectangle, and I'll pick the center rectangle option right here. Why is that important? You will see later on that if you build your chassis in the dead center, it's easy to mirror things. Like if you do one thing to the right side, you can mirror it to the other side. But if you don't do it, it will be very difficult. So that's why it's very important that when you go to create, go to a rectangle, don't pick 2-point rectangle or 3-point rectangle. Pick center rectangle and then go to center. And then like you see how I just did a left click and then just started creating a box and then just click again. Now you see how these blue lines, if I press escape on the keyboard, you see I can change the blue lines. That's not good, right? Because if imagine you're working on the chassis and all of a sudden the dimensions on the chassis change, that's not a good thing, right? So you want to make sure that all of these lines turn into a black. Black lines mean constrained. Constraint means that they're defined. They're not just moving randomly whenever you want. They're defined. So how do you define? Well, you press D in your keyboard, or you can go to, you see how it says sketch dimension? So either or, either you go to dimension and then click the lines that you need to define. So these two lines I need to define, right? This will be the width of the chassis. And I'm going to say that this is in millimeters. I'm going to say the width is about 80 millimeters. And I'm going to press enter. And you see how these two lines turn black? That's what you want. Now I'm going to, instead of clicking there, you should memorize the shortcuts. So I'm going to press D on the keyboard and it will automatically bring up the, actually it brought up the dimensions tool from before. I can press escape. And then now so I press escape to escape the dimension tool. Now I'm going to press D again. And then now you see it's giving me the dimension tool. So I'm going to define this as the length of the chassis, and it will give me option to just drag it right here, and then I will say the length is about 120 millimeters. Now, you see how it automatically measured out 120 millimeters and created a chassis. And you see the two lines are all lines. This whole rectangle is now black. That means it's defined. Now, these are things that you always might change. Like later on, you will see that, at some point you might realize, hey, this is not, the dimensions are not good enough. Maybe it need to be wider or maybe it need to be longer, the chassis, right? So these are these dimensions, I need to be able to change it quite often. So what you should do is you should make this dimensions parametric, meaning that you're able to easily change these dimensions. So in your in this at this point now press S on your keyboard, and that's a shortcut for shortcuts, and then type in change parameters. You see now it's giving you option to add some parameters. I'm going to add 2 parameters. Chassis, it should be one word. You cannot put a space like that. So it should be one word. Chassis length in millimeters. I'm going to say it's 150. Change the thing. And then I'm going to put another parameter saying chassis width. And I'm going to say that this is 80 millimeters and press OK. And you see, I created 2 parameters. Now I press OK. Now I want to make sure that these parameters are actually assigned to what they should be assigned to. So right here, right, I'm gonna go back to where 120 is. Double left click. Use your left click option in your mouse, and instead of saying 120, I'm going to type right here chassis length 150 and press enter. Now, did you see automatically it changed to 150? See, that's why this software is so powerful. It's a very powerful tool because at a, all you have to do is change one number, it will change everything else. Now I'm going to go over to 80 and define this 80 as not just 80, but chassis width, and I select that and press enter. Now you see how it's became an 80. Now, so this is the base of your chassis. Now, one side need to be like a front and one side need to be back, right? So I'm going to select over here where it says under sketch menu. There's a option that says actually not sketch menu, not create menu. Go to modify, right? Under modify, there's an option called fillet. That means if you want to cut up like a curve, right? So I click fillet, and then I'm going to select the first line and the second line, and it will say, oh, fillet, curve it. And it's actually counting the radius from right here, right from the dead center. So I can make this fillet radius, it's about, let's say I will make the fillet radius about 15 millimeters. Now let's do the fillet to the other side too. So you select this one and this one, these two lines, and then again do the fillet for that. So like you see how I'm filleting this line, and then make that also 15. So this 15 millimeters, and this will be the front of the car, and this will be the back of the car. Now, what you should do is when I'm printing out your chassis, right? I need to know whose chassis I'm printing out. So you should put your name really on your chassis. So go to create, and where it says text, right? Let's write down your name on the chassis. So I'm going to pick somewhere on the dead center, like maybe you see how like this is two squares in each direction from the center, right? Like that. I'm going to pick that as my area to write. And what am I going to write? I'm going to say Mr. P ToyCar. Well, actually, I don't need to do all of that. Just say Mr. P. Oh, you in your case, you don't write Mr. P. You write your name, so that when I'm printing your chassis, I know whose chassis am I printing. And then maybe I should center it like that. You see how it gives you the option to center it, and now yeah, that looks good. Actually, this looks good. I press OK. Now, okay, so I see my name is right there. So now let's make this into a 3D shape. So that's how it works. You always draw a sketch and then you convert it into a 3D. I'm going to use the left cube. You see how this is the cube, right? I'm going to angle it like this so it's easier to extrude it. Extrude means convert the sketch into a 3D shape. So what I'm doing is on the keyboard, right? I'm selecting the whole area, and then I'm pressing E for extrusion. And then I will say extrusion should be about 2 millimeters. And now this might also be something that I might play around with a lot because the thickness, you might want to either make it small or make it big. So based on that, so let's make the thickness about 2 millimeters right now. And then let's make a parameter again. So I'm going to press S again and go to change parameters, and I'm going to go into the plus sign, and I'm going to add a word, another parameter that says chassis thickness, and I'm going to say it's roughly about 2. And then I press OK. And then I'm going to, you see how on the bottom, it's actually recording everything you did. You did a sketch and then you did an extrusion. So now I want to assign this chassis thickness to the extrusion that we did. So because of that, I'm going to double click on the extrusion, and instead of saying 2, I'm going to say chassis thickness. Now, next time, if I want to change that, I can easily press S on the keyboard and change that if I wanted to. Now, I have a 3D shape of the chassis. This is the chassis that you wanted to create. Now, the next thing is to actually cut the name onto the chassis. So when I'm printing, I know whose chassis I'm printing. So now you want to turn on the sketch. So you see how like underneath the chassis, there's bodies and sketches, right? So make sure that when you go to sketches, right, this sketch is turned on. You see right now it's on, this is off. So now you will see that your name is there. So what you want to do is you want to, I went back and I've turned off, you see how under bodies, I turned off the body so I can see my name right there. And I press escape and then I select my name only. And then I'm going to press E and then say that I'm not making a new body, but I'm making a cut. And then I will say, I'm going to turn on the body. And then I'm going to say cut, what type of cut is to the object, so whatever the object is. And then I'll say it should be roughly about, so asking me how much should I cut? I'm going to say chassis thickness. So I'm going to say exactly the thickness of that. So now you're able to cut the chassis, and you'll see that there will be a hole. If you look in there, that there will be a hole in the middle. You see how, and you see how there's a little bit of overlap. That's because the sketch is on. But if you turn off the sketch, right, and now you look, you see that, oh, that's just going to be a hole. in your chassis. So this is it. This is the first step of your making your chassis. Now you see that the file is has this asterisk next to it. That means it's not saved. So again, hit Shift. I'm sorry, Control S to save, and then press OK, and it will save. So you did the first part. Congrats. Now we will maybe the next day we can do part 2.